Hi everyone, so this is the original track that we're going to be remixing. And we're going to turn it into this sort of down-tempo trance track. So you might be wondering, how do you come up with an idea like this for a remix? Well, I can only tell you what happened in this particular case. We were working on the original track for our Cubase Beginners course, and I could just hear this different chord structure going on in my head whilst I was working on this super great vocal that we had. And I also had a bit of a riff in my head, you know, that did. That was kind of going on in my head as well. So I always wanted to try this remix. So we're going to be starting with the main hook, the main riff, whatever you want to call it, the main section of the track. I always start with the main section, and I always recommend that our students do the same. Why, you might ask? Well, this is the part of the track with the most energy. It's the most important part of the track. So therefore, you might as well start with that, get that right, and then everything else will seem easy, really. And also that way, you're not wasting time. So if you were to build the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, and then work on the chorus, and then your chorus idea doesn't work, you've then wasted all that time. So if you're going to follow along with me, then the first thing you need to do is change your DAW tempo to 128. That is the first change that I made. The original is 124. And the next thing we want to do is bring in the vocals and time stretch them so they're 128. So we'll go to the audio files. If you've bought the course, they'll be in your work files. And that'll be Vox final main take. We're going to bring these in now. Just to let you know, I'm working at 44.1 sample rate and 24-bit depth. So in your DAW, you need to time stretch these vocals to 128. In Cubase, there's a bit of a quirk that you really need to know about. You go to Control P, which is for the audio pool, and here is the vocals right here, and it's saying the tempo is 121.05, which is incorrect. So if you didn't change this right here, right now, and you start time stretching these to 128 or however way you want to do it, hitting musical mode perhaps up here, then it's just not going to work right. It's just not going to stretch it to the right tempo. So it's a bit of a quirk if you're a Cubase user. So make sure you type in the correct original BPM, which is 124. And just in case, I'm going to delete that and bring them in again. So they're still 124 at the moment, so we'll turn on the metronome.
And crystallize, open my eyes and realize that it's all.
So you can hear that that's out of time, but if we hit musical mode in Cubase, or time stretch them, whichever way you want to do it in your own DAW, and if you're not sure how to do that, a quick Google search should be able to give you the answer.
Open my eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all on me.
So that's all time stretched now. It sounds pretty good. Just to let you know that whatever DAW you're using sometimes doesn't always time stretch it perfectly. So you may still have to every now and again just go in and cut the audio and move it along slightly. I tend to find that happens quite a bit. But for now, that sounds in time with our metronome. So that's the timing of the vocals done. The next thing I wanted to try was my new chord progression. So in the original, we have a 3-note chord progression, which is B, A, E. And in my head, I've got a different bass line. It's almost the same, but it's 4 notes as opposed to 3. So the first thing I needed to do was just to check that's going to work or not. Now I'm going to show you ways to work out what key you're working in and therefore what notes you can use in just a second, just in case you're not sure how to do that, because I actually play by ear personally. I don't worry about what key I'm in and all that gubbins. I just literally work it out in my ear. But just in case you don't work like that and you need help with what notes you can use and what's going to work without having to keep trying different wrong notes all the time, I'm going to show you some techniques in just a sec. So the first thing I'm going to do is right click at an instrument track. So Vital is a free synth, and we're going to start using Vital a lot in all of our tutorials, including this one. So what I suggest you do, you go and install that if you haven't got it already. All you need to do is Google Vital Synth, and it's the first result here. And by all means have a look at the website, but at the bottom you'll see the different options you've got. You can pay for it if you want to and get more presets, but you can go for the basic one, which is free, and you still get the full access to the synth. You still get all the features, you just don't get as many presets and wavetables. So install that, and although we're not going to be using sound design at the moment, we will be designing all of our sounds from scratch, by the way, the pads, the leads, etc, etc. But right now I'm just going to use the basic oscillator, and we're going to need to turn this down for sure. We don't want to blow our eardrums off, so I'm just going to quickly draw in a MIDI segment. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing in the original bass line. And this is a way we can work out what key we're in. And I think I'll play this along with the original version just to double check we've got these notes correct. So although the timing is off, obviously we can tell that these are the correct notes. Now my idea was to do a 4 notes rather than a 3 notes, and it was, I believe it was G, and then it was A afterwards. So it was something like this. So let's test that with our vocals. Let's just have a listen to that.
Open my eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all
Yep, so that works. So I didn't worry about what scale I was in, I just did it from my head. But I'm going to show you why noting down those notes can actually help you if you're not too sure what notes to use. One other thing you might want to do is not only note down the bass notes, but note down what notes the singer is singing. So,
realize that it's all
that it's all. So D, B, D. So we've got D, B, F sharp, and I think there's an E in there as well.
on me.
So this is going to help us find out what key we're in, and therefore it's going to help you to know what notes to use. And the reason why you might want to do that is because when you come up with a riff, like we're going to be doing later on, it's just easier to know what notes you can use and which ones are not going to work. So in Cubase there's loads of help like chord pads and filtering out the wrong notes, but I'm just going to assume that you're on any other DAW. So I recommend you come to this website here. It's called scales-chords.com/scale finder. And now the notes that we've just ascertained from the bass line and the vocals, you put them in here. And as it says here, it's optional if you put in the chords as well. Now you're probably going to get better results if you put in the chords as well as the notes. So I'm going to put in the chords as well, which is B minor, A and E. And if you're not sure where to get those chords from, you literally just listen to the original track and you try a B major. Well, you know it's B because the bass line we've already ascertained is B, A, E. To find out whether they're major or minors, you literally just play the chord in and see if it works or not. And if it works better with a B minor, then you know it's B minor. I did the same with the A and the E, and they were both majors. Like I say, you don't even need to put these in here. It just helps the system narrow the possible scale down, the more information you put in. We don't need the Greek modes here. So literally press find me a scale. And because we put so much information in, it's suggesting that it's probably A major or F sharp natural minor. So F sharp is the natural minor of A major, and they use exactly the same scale notes. So therefore it doesn't really matter which one of these we use. So the next step of the puzzle is to Google notes in A major scale, and go to this one here, which is basicmusictheory.com, and this shows you can use A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. These are all the notes in the A major scale. So when we come to create a riff or an arpeggiator or whatever it is, you know that these notes are going to work. And the final piece of the puzzle is to Google chords in A major scale. And these ones all down the left here on pianokeyboardguide.com are the main ones you want to be thinking of using. But what I would say, guys, is don't get hung up on scales and keys and what is it supposed to be in I just don't do that at all. Play from your ear, it's a much better idea. Because there's a slight caveat to that approach anyway. What if the original remix has got a borrowed chord in it, or it's doing something funky? When you put that information into the website, it's going to throw you off and give you, the incorrect scales, that sort of thing. So it's not 100% foolproof. Also, I'm adding a G in here, which could possibly change the scale anyway. So let's quickly just add a riff, the riff that's in my head. Again, I'm not going to do any sound design until the next lesson or two. Let's just get it in my head.
Open my eyes and
Do, 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 do. That's what I do. I just hum it. Embarrassingly, that's how I do it. Do, 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 do. So we're just going to turn this down, obviously. So it's going to be D. Do, 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 do. I think it's going to be D, B, G. So I'd say it's going to be something like this. Let's just put it on solo for a sec.
open my eyes and realize that
I think that initial note actually comes just before the bar starts.
is open my eyes and open my eyes and realize that
Yeah, that's better. So the initial note comes before the actual start of the bar.
open my eyes and realize that it's all
Let's just quickly chuck this up an octave so it's a bit easier to hear.
open my eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all
Yeah, that's going to be my riff. Obviously, we're changing the sound of that soon.
open my
Let's chuck the bass down one.
eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all on me. Open my eyes and realize that it's all.
Okay, let's just quickly get rid of that metronome and chuck in a kick. So go to work files and choose kick 6. Now, I normally would spend a little while obviously choosing a kick, which I did first time round. Sometimes I would go 3, 4, 5 kicks into a track before I've actually decided on the one I'm going to use. Because also the one you bring in right at the start of the project can often change, because by the time you've got all your instruments in there, it's not quite punchy enough. So I did actually change my mind on this, but ended up with kick 6 from our House Tools 1 sample pack. Check that out if you want to. And I'm going to right click and create a sampler track. I suggest you do the same in your DAW, put it into a sampler track, because if you do change your mind on the kick later on, it's so easy just to swap out the sample. It's a lot easier than trying to change all the audio kicks in your project. Very, very quickly, program this in on C3. Turn it down. Obviously, we need to turn everything down to start with, -12, roughly speaking, because we don't want everything coming in and summing together. When we have 20, 30, 40, 50 tracks later on, obviously they're all going to sum together, and then you're going to get clipping. So that's why you always turn down your first element in your track.
Open my eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all on me. Open my eyes and realize that it's all on me. It's all on me.
Okay, so obviously it's a mess at the moment because of the sound design hasn't been done, but all we're doing in this lesson is getting the idea ready. So we've time stretched the vocals, we've sped the project up, we've got a riff, we've got our bass notes, a new chord progression, and in the next couple of lessons we'll start sound designing the lead. We'll start putting a pad in there and sound designing that from scratch with Vital. I'll show you all about how to use Vital. And incidentally, we have some Vital tutorials on our website. You just go to borntoproduce.com, go to tutorials, and scroll down to free Vital tutorials. They're all here. We've got 4 tutorials here to get you started. So please do come and check these out, perhaps before you start using Vital, if you're new to it, of course. And it will go over the absolute basics with you, the first couple of lessons, and then we start making pads and leads and that kind of thing. And we'll also be doing this in this tutorial. So I think that's probably it for this lesson. It's just a starting lesson, how to get the idea for remix and how to find out notes in a scale if that's the way you want to do it. But always try and just use your ears and your brain. I think that just works better, personally speaking, anyway. So I'll see you in the next couple of lessons where we'll start doing some sound design and we'll turn it into this.